So we're in Milwaukee. It is February 17th, 2001, and the clock just ran out on the third quarter. The Hornets lead the Bucks 76-67 because Baron Davis hit a three right as time expired. There's Eddie Robinson, his teammate. He had his arms up the whole time. He knew it was going in. And it's weird that he knew it was going in because Baron Davis hit this one from way out. Like, way, way, way out. This, right here, is the longest bucket in the history of the NBA. I love this story. Did you notice that Baron Davis didn't even bank that shot? It went straight in. He took a 9-inch basketball and put it through an 18-inch rim from more than 1,000 inches away. Now as the crow flies, which is not how these shots are recorded, I think it's a little closer to 87.5 feet. Doesn't matter, it is still the longest shot in NBA history. Now if this were bowling, it'd be hard enough. At 89 feet, this is about 50% longer than your standard bowling lane, but of course you can't just hit the rim like you hit a bunch of pins. You have to put it through from above. Your arc has to be right on the vertical axis in addition to being on the money horizontally. So, what we've got here is super long three-dimensional bowling, except, of course, for the fact that bowlers practice hitting from the exact same distance over and over and over for decades, whereas Davis had never shot from this distance during a game in his life. That season, he'd never attempted an NBA shot from even half that distance, and his longest made shot was only about a third of that distance. Another important difference, of course, is that bowlers aren't on a clock. Baron Davis had 7/10 of a second to invent a shooting form that would launch a ball 89 feet, not a foot more, not a foot less, not 6 inches to the left or the right, and not a vertical degree too low. He chose to throw it like a football. Was that hard? Let's find out. 89 feet. I got a tape measure and I measured it out. It puts us right about here. We're conducting this experiment at Michael Jordan's Terminal 23 in Manhattan. It is not quite a full-size court, but it's still perfect for this experiment. The ceilings are relatively low, and that is exactly what we want. Let's take another look at that shot. The camera barely catches the ball at the top of its arc, right here. Now that would put it above this point on the court. How tall is that? Well, let's take this tall drink of water over here and estimate that he's about 6'6". The ball is 3.5 times the height of that guy, so according to this very rough estimate, the ball reached a maximum height of about 22.5 feet. This shot was way more of a line drive than a Hail Mary. Lucky for us, this ceiling is about equally high. So not only will we have to drain it from 89 feet, we'll have to replicate Baron's arc when we do it. So here's me. No. 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 Nope. Nope. No. Oh, what form is that? What am I doing? See, court rules specified that I had to wear Jordans while I was on the floor. I belong in Jordans like Michael Dukakis belongs in a tank. So I dragged SB Nation's own Christian Winfield and Tyler Tynes along with me to try some shots of their own, and we all ran into the same problem. It's just really, really hard to get the ball that far on that low of an arc. Before we could even get to the question of accuracy, we first had to get the ball that far in the first place. We couldn't get within 10 feet of the rim. The arc of Baron Davis's shot requires the strength of a world-class athlete, and that same arc requires even more accuracy than normal. The arc of this shot makes it so much more difficult. I mean, pretend you're the ball and you're looking at the rim, right? If it's a rainbow shot, you see the rim like this. If it's a line drive, you see the rim like this. That is so difficult. I forgot my own motto. Never try anything that is difficult. Now, Baron's NBA record shot is actually just a little short of the ABA record. In 1967, Jerry Harkness hit a 92-foot buzzer-beating game-winning three. Unfortunately, nobody caught it on video. All we have is this one photo. Okay, that is a guy eating a donut. We don't have any photos, sorry. In the 20th century, NBA record keeping for long shots was pretty spotty. The longest I was able to dig up was this one from Magic Johnson in the 1987 playoffs. This newspaper story marks it at 80 feet, and this story right next to it in the same newspaper puts it at 85 feet. In either case, it looks like he's a few feet shy of where Baron Davis was standing. Now, we do have detailed shot distance data from 2000 onward. While the NBA makes about 36% of its frontcourt threes, it only makes about 2% of its backcourt threes. It's such a long shot that a lot of players don't even bother, maybe as a matter of pride. I mean, you don't want to look like Enes Kanter. I can't say this definitively, but as far as uncontested shots go, this might be the least accurate attempt of all time. According to my estimate, this missed the rim by about 41 feet. Most of the apartments I've lived in could fit inside of that. Beyond embarrassment, another reason players don't shoot is that they don't want to dilute their shooting percentage with an attempt they know they're not going to hit. I can't say for sure that's what's going on here, but Steph Curry's clock awareness is as good as anyone's. Surely he knows he needs to get it off like now. He doesn't. The clock buzzes, and then he shoots. My guess is that on some level, he didn't want to pollute the box score with a shot he had no chance of making. Oh, crab apples. Now at the opposite end is Andre Miller, who always made sure his backcourt shots were on time. Throughout his career, Miller attempted 112 backcourt threes, far more than any other player. He made 3 of them. If he attempted that many, you would expect him to at least be a good three-point shooter, right? He wasn't. He was the least effective frequent three-point shooter of his era by a mile. He could have helped out his numbers a bit if he'd laid off the three-pointers, but clearly he didn't care. When it came to long distance, he was one of the worst, which meant he was never too good to try. So shooting from out here is difficult. Shooting from out here is almost impossible. February 2016. Vince Carter takes the inbounds pass with a couple of seconds left. He squares up to heave the ball, then he seems to think, wait, let me get a better look at this one.
Vince. Put it in! Can you believe it?
It's a 72-foot shot. And of course it was Vince Carter. That guy could hit that shot sitting down. No, really, he could hit that shot sitting down. In the year or so since that shot, there have been more than 50 attempts in the NBA from at least 70 feet out. So I took a look at the tape, and I mapped them all out. Let's take a look. Zero for 57. I wanted to wait until somebody actually hit a bucket to end the streak, but I finally just ran out of time and gave up. The vast majority of these shots were total air balls. Only 4 even hit the rim. That's 7%. Honest question, what do you think does a better job of finding the rim? These shots or the geolocation on your phone? No, really, I tried. Even on an indoor court in a giant building surrounded by other giant buildings, as near as I could figure, it was pretty much a tie. From out here, failure seems so certain and so dramatic that if you win, it's like something went wrong, like the dealer forgot to stack the deck. Nothing in sports is more like a carnival game. So, you think this is luck, right? You're like, credit Baron Davis for being strong enough to get that far, but everything else is in the hands of fate. Okay, that's fine. But what you should know is that he said he called it. You know what? I believe him. You know why? because he told everyone to go ask Lindsey Hunter, the guy defending him. I mean, everyone talks about Babe Ruth's called shot, right? But all Babe Ruth had to do was hit a home run to center field, which is something he himself had done a million times before. Baron Davis guaranteed that he'd do something right then and there that had never been done in an NBA game by anyone. It was ridiculous to even try this shot. Since that night 16 years ago, only 6 NBA players have even attempted a shot from that far out. And of course, none of them made it. The last guy to try it, Grant Hill, has been retired for 4 years now. Now, Hail Mary shots like these are rarely guarded, but adding to this legend is that Baron Davis was guarded. And this wasn't half-hearted defense either. Lindsey Hunter was all over him. To me, that makes it even more likely that Baron called it. Lindsey Hunter heard him say it and refused to give him an open look. Of course, it didn't matter. If Baron Davis shot the longest three of all time, he must have been a pretty great three-point shooter, right? Let's take a look. The season prior, 126 guys attempted at least 100 three-pointers. Here they are, ranked from best to worst in three-point percentage. Baron Davis isn't at the top. He isn't near the top. He isn't in the middle. He is dead last. The guy who hit that shot was arguably, at that point in his career, the least effective three-point shooter in the entire NBA. But that was early in his career. This shot was just the first of countless unforgettable moments that made Baron Davis one of the most exciting players of the decade. Everyone remembers what he did in the 2007 playoffs when he led the Warriors to one of the greatest series upsets in NBA history. He did everything, including this pivotal half-court shot to tie it up in Game 4.
1.1, throw it to Baron from midcourt. Banked it in! My word, he banked it in!
Honestly, the Baron Davis Warriors were a big reason why I personally started watching the NBA again. I really want to tell you he switched it. The video quality of the shot isn't that great, so I can't say that for sure, but I think that a not that great three-point shooter guaranteed that he'd hit the longest shot in the history of the league, heaved it past a defender who was all over him, and swished it. Okay, so I have to add a condition here. That was the longest ever NBA shot that counted. It's 2015. Jay Crowder makes a full-court heave on an inbounds pass. He's trying to pass it to a teammate, not score a bucket.
Familiar with this situation from being from college?
See, Crowder's 95-footer doesn't count. He shot it from out of bounds. You can't score from out of bounds. He put that in by mistake. But if you want to go strictly by distance, during an NBA game, the longest shots belong to the guy who did it by accident and the guy who guaranteed he would do it. Everything with any intent in between the two has always failed. This is the full court shot. There are no half measures.
It's good! Baron Davis has just fallen in.
I can't really say this was my fault, John. I can't really say this was my fault. I'll be lying to you. I'm gonna blame everybody else around me, actually. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's not a good compass.
Do you think it was possibly Michael Jordan's fault for designing a court with a roof this low?
I mean, Michael Jordan has done a lot of things to, advance the culture. What I will say is that he's failed miserably in terms of, small roofs. If I could have had some more arc, coach's game plan would have been able to work out really well. But again, I blame everybody else except myself, Michael Jordan and coach and my teammates. You see him right there. He's not doing a great job of shooting or passing. So, he was terrible. He was terrible.
This is Ben Gordon right here. He don't pass the ball.
He was terrible. When you're the obvious center of the team, when you're obvious center of the team, you don't pass the ball. But again,
This interview's over.
I was blaming everybody.
Well, that my usual range is about 18 feet and in, and I often try to use glass, so I just took that approach way far out and tried to wing it, and it didn't work, and I'm sorry.